When you talk about the architects of Caribbean music, the people who didn't just play it but shaped it, elevated it, and introduced it to audiences far beyond the islands, one name that demands mention is Byron Lee. For over 5 decades, Byron Lee wasn't just a bandleader, he was a movement, a visionary. The man who took calypso, ska, soca, and reggae and gave them polish without stealing their soul. The man who brought the raw, joyful, rebellious heartbeat of the Caribbean to stages all over the world and made sure that heartbeat was heard loud, clear, and proud. But let's rewind. Byron Aloysius Street Elmo Lee was born on June 27, 1935, in Christiana, Manchester Parish, Jamaica. Now here's a twist in the tale. Young Byron wasn't born into the pulsating music scene of Kingston or the bustling ports where calypso singers held court. His father was Chinese Jamaican, his mother of African Jamaican descent. His upbringing was a blend of cultures, and this unique heritage would later echo in the way he blended musical genres so effortlessly. Byron's musical journey didn't begin in a smoky club or a beachside bar. It started with something quite unexpected: sports. In his youth, Byron was an accomplished footballer. He captained Jamaica's national team and even played in England. But fate, as always, had other plans. Legend has it that Byron picked up the guitar to entertain teammates during long road trips. The joy he found in music quickly outpaced his love for sports. And from that moment, the seeds of a musical revolution were sown. In the 1950s, Jamaica was alive with rhythm. Sound systems boomed in the streets. Calypso and mento filled the air. Into this scene stepped Byron Lee and the Dragonaires, a band he formed in 1950. The name itself was a nod to his Chinese heritage, and the sound, pure magic. From day one, Byron Lee wasn't content with simply playing the hits of the day. He was determined to perfect them, to blend the authenticity of Jamaican street music with arrangements that could compete with any international act. The Dragonaires quickly gained a reputation as a band that could do it all. Ska, rocksteady, reggae, calypso, they mastered it. But it was their tight, polished performances that truly set them apart. At a time when many Caribbean bands were content with raw energy, Byron Lee brought professionalism, discipline, and a deep understanding of what made music universal. His band became the house band for many visiting stars and a staple at festivals, hotels, and cruise ships. And let's talk about ska, because Byron Lee was right at the heart of it. When ska was emerging as Jamaica's defining sound in the early 1960s, Byron Lee and the Dragonaires didn't just ride the wave, they helped create it. The band played on the now legendary Jamaica ska, which introduced the genre to audiences beyond the island shores. In fact, Byron Lee is often credited with bringing ska to the United States, particularly after performing at the 1964 New York World's Fair, where Jamaica was showcased as a newly independent nation. That performance wasn't just a gig, it was a cultural mission, and the world listened. But Byron Lee wasn't about to stop at ska. His restless creativity and business acumen saw him embrace the soca explosion in the 1970s. Trinidad and Tobago might have been soca's birthplace, but Byron Lee became one of its most important ambassadors. Year after year, his band would light up Trinidad's carnival, winning over audiences who were initially skeptical of a Jamaican band daring to play their treasured soca. But Byron's arrangements were so tight, so vibrant, so respectful of the genre's roots, that he wasn't just accepted, he was celebrated. One of the things that made Byron Lee truly special was his ability to bridge cultures. Whether it was calypso from Trinidad, reggae from Jamaica, or soca that blended them both, Byron Lee and the Dragonaires could play it. And not just play it, they could own it. Byron knew that music was a powerful unifier. He used his platform not just to entertain, but to break down barriers between islands, between genres, between peoples. And while Byron Lee the musician was extraordinary, Byron Lee the businessman was just as influential. In 1964, he purchased Dynamic Sounds, a recording studio in Kingston that would become one of the most important in the Caribbean. Dynamic Sounds wasn't just a place where the Dragonaires laid down tracks. It became a hub for international artists. Paul Simon, Eric Clapton, the Rolling Stones, who came to Kingston seeking the magic of the island's sound. Byron's studio helped make sure that Jamaican music wasn't just a local phenomenon, it was global. Yet for all his fame, Byron Lee remained grounded. He was a perfectionist, yes, but he was also deeply loyal to his bandmates, many of whom stayed with him for decades. His shows weren't just concerts, they were parties. If you've ever danced to Tiny Whiny, Dollar Wine, or Dancehall Soca, you've felt the energy Byron Lee brought to the world. His performances were a celebration of life, of rhythm, of the Caribbean spirit that refuses to be tamed. Byron Lee's influence didn't go unnoticed. He was awarded the Order of Distinction and later the Order of Jamaica, two of his homeland's highest honors. But perhaps the greatest tribute to Byron Lee isn't in medals or titles. It's in the way Caribbean music is loved across the globe. It's in the steel pan bands, the reggae festivals, the soca fetes, and the way people from Tokyo to Toronto move their hips to a beat born in the islands. A beat that Byron Lee helped to bring to them. His later years were marked by both triumph and challenge. Even as he battled cancer, Byron kept performing, kept recording, kept spreading joy. His death on November 4th, 2008, was a blow not just to Jamaica, but to the entire Caribbean and its diaspora. Tributes poured in from around the world. Musicians, fans, heads of state, they all recognized that we lost more than a man. We lost a legend. And yet Byron Lee's spirit hasn't gone anywhere. His recordings are still played at every carnival, every wedding, every street party where Caribbean music lives. His arrangements continue to inspire new generations of musicians. His vision, a Caribbean united through music, with its sounds respected and celebrated on the world stage, remains alive. In the end, what made Byron Lee so remarkable was his deep love for the music of his home and his refusal to let it stay hidden. He believed that the rhythms of the Caribbean were for everyone, and he spent his life making sure the world heard them, danced to them, and fell in love with them. And that is why, all these years later, when the bass line hits and the horns come in, we still move our feet. Because Byron Lee taught us how.